Hi, Georgina. This very quick video is intended to show you how one school built their form or essentially what they were trying to achieve when they built their form. And I'll also show you how they're using it to speed up the process of gathering learning area dream teams and generally staffing their classes for next year. All right, so we'll go to their forms modules here and you'll see that they've got a teaching staff 2024 form here. They would have used the build button to construct it. That's the fastest way to do it. But so that you don't see all those buttons on the screen, I'll just press review to show you what they've got in their form. So they have some metadata at the top. That's obviously just a school data admin full name. But if you've got, if you tick those boxes, it'll be the teacher's full name and email address. Got a note to staff, intentions for carrying on next year. You can build questions, by the way, that say, if I wish to continue, and you tick it, then it opens up another question that says, would you like to reduce your FTE, all those kind of things. So you can have dependent questions in there. Down here, teaching preferences, they've very simply put in all of the subjects that they had ticked in there. And when a teacher comes in here and selects them, maybe they select them in random order, then they can simply reorder them here. And that's their preference order over here. Also over here, you can type a code of a subject you're thinking about picking and then go from there. Scrolling down a little bit, they've got co-curricular events here. These won't go to a they don't go onto the staffing form, obviously, because it's a different kind of staffing, but you can export anything to a CSV. So then they ask about leave and comments. You could also put in a question. I thought you can put in a question about qualifications. People who are qualified to teach certain things. You can ask about, I think, the camps that you'd like to attend next year. You can even have a previously taught picker, which is where if you don't have the data in the database, say someone says, I taught accounting 11 years ago in South Australia, then you can have a picker where they tell you things that they've taught, that won't be registered in the database. And that shows up in a different column, and I'll show you that in just a second. Before I show you where the data flows in terms of staffing, if we go back to the form admin, you can see over on the right-hand side, we've got a report. I'll do this all relatively quickly, but if I click that, then when it loads, you can see everyone who submitted the form and their answers on the screen and all kinds of things here. You can click review and see an individual teacher's form in there. You can also press export to CSV, and that will obviously, much like a Google form or a Microsoft Teams, you can export this to CSV. It basically just gives you Excel layout of the form, and you can sort whichever fields you need to see here. It's relatively basic how that works. All right, now how they actually use it. The next step, and I won't go into any detail here, but the next step for this school was running the planner admin. And in the planner admin, my computer's a little bit slow today for some reason. In the planner admin, you can we can run predictors to fill out all this data. This school was very early when we still hadn't finalized all that kind of stuff. They did it for their VCE stuff, as you can see here. They can type in how many classes they think will run for that subject next year. Obviously, for the lower year levels, you'll know. For the higher year levels, it might be a bit of a guess, or we can generate data in these cells to tell you, to give you, data about how many students have done the feeder subjects and those kind of things. All right. So then they spin up a V2, a version 2 planner grid. Version 1 was our old model, and version 1 involved imports, which was kind of a bit time consuming. Now, where you just type the numbers in and say, we think there'll be 6 art classes, it spins up something like this. And you can see they've already just started to staff this. At this school, when the head of humanities logs in, they will only see a link to the planner grid, V2, and they will only see classes tagged with humanities. And so they will then come in and they will just staff the humanities classes. Let's choose something a little bit more mainstream so that it's more likely someone's actually nominated it on their form. So let's choose Year 9 English, which they've already staffed. And you can see what the site does is it tells you directly, it links directly to your form. So it tells you who put the subject on their form as their first preference, who put it on as any preference and their preference number, and who's previously taught it. So who taught it this year in all of their synced files. Up here, you've also got every teacher in the school. So you could just start typing Tim. I don't know whether there's a Tim. Yep, there is. And you could tab down to Tim, and you can see something interesting happened here. Over on the right-hand side, Tim's form appears, or basically the subjects that Tim put on his form appear over here. So you get a kind of a glance at what Tim wants to teach. You can also see a link to the form. If your admin level is executive read only or timetabler, then you can actually press the show staff form button, and it will show you the teacher's form, like a mini version of the teacher's form. So when you're staffing classes, you can do that really quickly. Now, I don't want to override their data, but if I press the number 1 while Tim's name is green here, Tim will go into this staffing box here. And then what happens then is if I go to the loads page, when you allocate a class to somebody, we'll go through and we'll find a few people who have classes. Maybe that should have stopped there. This person here. When you're using 2 screens to staff classes, if you've got the loads page open on one of those screens, it will automatically scroll to the teacher who you've just allocated the class to, and it will add that class into their load, and it will build their load graph. And so you can see here that they've got 0.75 at the moment, and you can hover from week to week to see that this person currently has 36 periods allocated. A full load up here is 48. So they've got 3/4 of a load. And you can see here that it's pretty powerful. You can do it week by week. So even if you're staffing long service leave replacements, then you can do that here in the site too. Over here, it's a bit cut off because I'm using a really small screen at the moment. You can actually download this blue button. You can't see it at the moment. Is you can download a CSV of their allocations, and you can. This person mustn't have actually submitted their form. You can link to their form. Download or view on the screen rather a copy of their form as well. That's probably enough for now. There's plenty more that it can do, but I think without wanting to overwhelm you, that's an introductory guide as to how schools are using this form.